Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Cora. I'm the head of education in the Hong Kong Maritime Museum. Yeah. So, in my area of responsibilities, I'm really excited that Swan Marine Discovery Center will become part of it. Because besides I'm excited about the science part, I'm also excited that I can add a lot of art and culture and history elements in SMDC. Like today, I have invited 4 friends from the art and culture field to share with you what they've been doing related to the harbour, to the ocean. And today, this panel is about the voices of the harbour. And we're going to explore what the ocean means to us and to explore the historical and cultural significance of our ocean, how it has been influencing our lives, art, and culture. To know more about that, there's no better way to meet them directly and let them speak to you what they have been doing. And in these coming sessions, we will divide it into 2 parts. The first part, they have brought some PowerPoint to show you more visual images about their projects, and they will present them by turns. And each of them will have a short time, just 3 minutes to do that. And the second part, we will have the discussions about what are their suggestions for HAMM to do better. Okay, so I will start by give a quick introduction to each of the panelists here, focusing, besides their formal title, focus on the role that is related to today's topic. First of all, next to me is Mr. Victor Wong. He's the visual effect director. And interesting enough, he has been doing some public art work for the Tamar Park promenades. So he will tell us more about that. And next to him is Ms. Hester Chen. She is the curator of collections in Amplifying, which is our neighbor. Her office is just opposite, the other side of the sea. And she will share more about her personal stories and how she sees telling stories about the oceans. And next to her is Mr. Alan Zhang. He has recently been appointed as the project curator of Cyclone High Art Festival, full of local public artworks, which are really exciting. The last panelist we have today is Ms. Maria Chen. I think most of you here know her already. She is the Director of Content Partnerships of National Geographic. Okay, so we will first of all have Victor. To let you know more about his background, he studied electronic engineering before, and he is a very famous cross-media artist. Most of us have watched the movies he has participated in post-productions, and he's been active in painting, sculpture, digital art, animations, movie, AR, VR, and he is one of the 10 outstanding young persons in year 2005.
Now it's gray hair.
Thank you for being here. So I will pass the microphone to him for the sharing.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Victor Wong. I'm a visual effects supervisor for movies and also a sculptor, and now I'm working on AI. May I have this next slide? Yeah. This is the work that I've done for the movies, and some of them is like the US and Hong Kong, and also some part of it in China. So I created things that directors or producers cannot film. So I created. So I want to answer one of the questions that what we really need to do now is, I think we have to paint the pictures of what is going to happens if we do not protect the oceans. What if there's all the waters goes away? So what if we can create something? Okay, And next slide, it is something that I'm doing recently. Is in the Harbour front. We have the art at Harbours, and this is the sculpture that I created for the what called science in art. There's a lot of things that we can learn from nature. So it's about the pattern. So I learned from in nature about the patterns, how to use the Fibonacci sequence to create these corals and to create this mural and also the turtles. Because the turtle is good for a sign for long life when it's like a celebration of the 25th anniversary of Hanover. And I say, well, sea turtle will live around the world, but when they lay eggs, they have to come back to the place that they give birth. So at that time, a lot of people leave Hong Kong. I want to come back when they want to do, come back to the hometown. Yeah. So next, I want to show you one of the projects that I think how we can do as paint the pictures of what happened if we do not have ocean. The next slide. Yeah. Okay, this is the projects I do in movies that I created a scene in 100 years ago in Guangzhou. It's a Guangzhou 13 行, which is the Delta place, and we found in the old books and also a lot of historical documents that how to build houses and the boats, and we created like 3,000 boats and 5,000 houses around that area, and we create things. And then I think what I can contribute is that what if we do not have the ocean? What if we do not protect the ocean? That's going to look like. Human is like animals. We are visual animals. You heard about seeing is believing. Never say, smelling is believing or hearing is believing. So seeing is believing. I think we can do is to paint the pictures of apocalypse, maybe, yeah. And how is alive? And without seafood, what's the meaning of the food in southern China? You try. Without the seafood, it's not you try again. Yeah. So we need to protect it. Yeah. One more thing I want to share. Next to the slide, the other one. Yeah, this one is the sculpture that I created after I read the news that we lost 2 billion of ice in the overnight in Greenland. So I think if war is a puzzle set, if you play puzzle set in your childhood, if you lose one set, you can always think about it. Even if it's 500 pieces or 100 pieces, you always want to find it. So I create a sculpture with the ocean wave. I represent it's a one piece of earth. It's a missing piece of earth to remind people that if we continue our life wasting our resources, that the puzzle set will be losing pieces more and more, and eventually the earth will disappear. This puzzle set. So this is kind of I want to use the art and visual to tell what we should care about our oceans. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Richard. So you can see how Richard has presented his feelings, his response to what he seen from the nature into his artworks. So the next speaker, let's welcome Ms. Hester Chan. She is the curator from Amplifying, and she comes from a country which is very connected to the sea, which is the same country where our museum director is from. And academically, she is professionally trained in art history and art business from the UK. So Hester.
Thanks, Victor, for your sharing. First of all, thank you, organizers, Professor Schokkenbroek, Swire Trust, Sonova, for this great organization. I would like to share my most vivid maritime stories with you, but being invited for this esteemed panel of marine experts make me a little bit humble and cringing, because the museum that I work for, M+, is actually built on reclaimed land from the sea. So let's tackle the elephant in the room. Here you can see two pictures. Victor was kindly to say to show the effects is to paint a picture. This is by 20th century photographer Mak Fong, and he's painted a very vivid picture of a changing Hong Kong. So here you can see coast is replaced by skyscrapers, ocean is replaced by land. Of course, I would also, as a curator, say that there's a transition from analog black and white photo to color photography as well. But in that sense, I owe much more to the sea than that. My family history, slide 2 please, goes back to the Dutch port of Rotterdam. This is my grandmother and her siblings standing on the banks of the River Maas. The photo was taken a couple of years prior to our family crossing the ocean to rejoin my grandfather, who had just returned to Shanghai. The writer Arthur Clarke of 2001 Space Odyssey may have said it best when he said, "How inappropriate to call this planet Earth when it is clearly an ocean." Slide 3. In Asia, our love affair with the sea and all things water is well documented. There's no san without so, as demonstrated in this stunning ink-on silk painting by young Chinese painter Hao Liang. Our lives are intrinsically maritime, lived in close proximity in the water. Slide 4, please. In this work by Hong Kong artist Casey Wong, titled Paddling Home, he makes us realize that the majority of us are willing to accept the 2x2 miniature apartments and limited space just as long as our home has a spectacular harbor view. Slide 5. Water flows in and out of our visual culture references. It pops up in advertising, day-to-day products, and like a siren, it calls upon our imagination, challenging us to be adventurous and to discover new and uncharted territories. You can see here very contemporary references. These works, by the way, are all from the M+ collections. Slide 6, please. So if the Chinese consider water lucky, then here's where I'll end my short introduction with a touch for luck. This digital mobile game project was commissioned by M+ and supported by the Consulate of the Netherlands. The work was made by Amsterdam-based Studio Moniker and provides a humorous critique, challenging our incessant relationship to our mobile phone by likening our behavior to that of fish in a pond. You can actually go online on your mobile and go to touchforluck.com and activate one of the fishes, which will show on our facade. Thank you very much.
And a lot, oceans definitely gives Hester a lot of inspiration. The ocean elements is in her blood from her family. Okay, and our next speaker, Mr. Alan Zhang, he is an architect himself, and I can see there's a lot of advantages for him to do the public art work, which involve a lot of three dimensions structural elements. And he will share more about his curatorial work in the Cyclone Point Art Festival. Alan, please.
Thank you for introducing, and thank you everyone. Thank you for having me here. I'm an architect. It seems like always architect in the sea and ocean is quite irrelevant. But then I think my recent encounter with ocean is by this project. It's very fascinating, very mysterious and challenging for me. It's actually a 3-year tourism project by the government to connect, using art to connect all the islands together. So basically, this is Cyclone Hoi Art Festival. Cyclone Hoi literally means Cyclone Sea, including ocean and islands, but in a Chinese way. So in this festival, as a curator, we hope the visitor can experience the healing nature by the healing power of nature. And also we explore ocean as a means to reconnect different communities around the islands. So next one, yeah. So we finished the first year already from the mid-January, luckily, very challenging. We started a journey in Cyclone Pier, and then we we did the first time island hopping experience. So visitors can choose which islands they want to go. They can drop island in between. And then through this island hopping experience, we reached Yinpinzai, the first island. It's a village fusing hawker and Catholic culture. In this island, we work closely with the villagers, hear the story about their past, also relation to the ocean. And then we create 6 artworks. Another is we're going to Sharp Islands. It's pure nature. Because of its high geological value, it's also named as the UNESCO Global Geopark. In this is here, all the artworks related to the nature, how the artwork can work in a harmonious way with the nature, with the ocean. Apart from those artworks, we also have different programs. We got over 40 programs in these 2 intensive months. And then there are programs with the artists, with families. Also, there are activity religions because the Catholic culture. There are also interesting parts like the photo taking using Guido, using the ferry. There are live action role play. We use kayak to see the artwork. So a different interesting activity to try to encourage visitors who may not interested or in sea, but they come to pay a visit. There are also other performances like this one, using the nature, using the ocean as a backdrop. And then all the movement of the dancing, the singing, they're all correlated with the ocean, with the nature. So it's how we try to bring up different kind of experience to the visitors. Together, there are also Christmas Carol, because it's also reached the Christmas season. And then there are, apart from this program, we got over 280 guided tours within these 2 months. So they allow visitors to experience each part of the islands. So the next one, this is the most memorable one to me. It's one of the artwork at Yinpinzai. We work closely with the ocean because of the high tide and low tide season. How do you imagine how this artwork is going to be built? We have to observe the table from the high tide. Okay, when it's high tide, the workers can bring the artwork as close to the bridge as possible, and then they walk inside the sea to pull the artwork towards the bridge in order to build it. During the low tide season, they can start to build the scaffolding and then start to build the artwork. But another one, the next one, is on the Sharp Island. So another challenging part is also have to notice closely to the high tide hours, and then we also strategically put it in this part. I think we play. Yeah. Yeah, it's on the one side of the tobono. Basically, visitor can have to observe the table of the tide. Whether it's slow tide, they can cross the tobono and then reach to see this artwork. So the entire art festival was created in relation to the nature and to understand how small human is and how we explore the new connection with the ocean. Yeah, that's what I'm going to share. Thank you.
Thank you for Alan's sharing. Actually, this Cyclone Hoi Art Festival just started in year 2021 for 3 years, and it's the second project after the success of Yinpinzai Art Festival from year 2019 to 21. And tourism board is an important driving force behind, which is they take reference of Japan project Sanyochi Triennial Lai I should say that I've been there in year 2016 as well. So also they have artworks in different places. I mean in many islands. So it has it creates a very good driving force for the tourism as well. So if you haven't been there, please do visit there whenever you have a chance. Okay, so our last speaker today is Miss Maria Chen. Most of you know her very well, and who works in the platform National Geographic, which is really important that combine many elements, not just entertainment but educational, documental, and many different elements in it. So may I introduce her to you again, and then let her share more today.
Hello, everybody. Before I begin, before National Geographic, I just wanted to flag that the last time I saw Victor, we were working together on a movie about vampires and viruses. So that's the kind of expertise we bring to the table. before I begin to talk about this particular project, which we've had the great pleasure of working on with Tina and Nicole and others in this room, I'll just start with a video, and you'll recognize some of the faces. So we could start with the second one and go straight to the...
香港從前係一個漁村，就正正因為係一個漁村，我哋先可以發展到咁獨特嘅飲食文化。到今日，我哋呢個飲食文化面對住一個好大嘅威脅，正正就係因為我哋食嘅速度快過啲海洋生物可以生長嘅速度。A lot of people in Hong Kong do not realize what they're eating, and some of them are endangered species. I want to educate people about marine conservation and encourage them to make sustainable decisions.
My work as a journalist has brought me all over the world and has made me realize just how vulnerable the ocean is.
Almost all life in the ocean are affected by ghost net.
一年可能啲蠔完全唔肥啦，突然之間有一年會即刻死蠔啦。
The ocean has given us so much. If we don't take care of it, we'll be losing not just a vital resource, but a part of ourselves. Now it's our turn to give back to it.
We can play the next one. And we can go to the next slide. So we'll pause here just for a moment, and I'll contextualize a little bit of what you saw. So working with National Geographic, we have the great privilege of working with explorers like Stan, and also Laurel Chor, who you saw there. And we featured specifically the stories of 3 Nat Geo explorers who are working on coral, awareness of sustainable seafood, and also highlighting the culture, the legacy of Hong Kong as a coastal community, and meeting Harry in that episode too. The videos, you just saw a 30-second clip, and the third video that I played on coral is amongst a set of graphic videos highlighting the need for marine protected areas, understanding our seafood consumption, and also mangroves and the role that they play in our ecosystem. They were specifically designed to speak to both a global and a local audience, which has been the objective from the start of this entire project. And it's something that we initiated to, first of all, to speak to Stan's point, the objective was to really bring people closer to something they don't even know that they have. So in that space of marketing and communications, in undergoing this project, we realized so many people in Hong Kong don't know what unique biodiversity, what unique marine biodiversity is amongst them. So that was just one thread that just carried us through this project. Really? It's going to be better? Okay. So with that as an underpinning, another aspect to this project, and the content that you just saw also exists alongside articles and other videos on our nationalgeographic.com Oceans Tomorrow website, which we encourage everybody to visit. And it's in both English and in Cantonese as well. So what you're looking at now which is what I wanted to just sort of touch upon today, given we have limited time, is a mural that was created by local artist Jonathan J. Lee, taking the 3 stories of the explorers, the coral, the Hong Kong's history as a coastal community, and species that are in Hong Kong, and give, say, young people a popular imagination entry point to this intersection of urban environment, the coral that is almost like apartment block, and the role of the human in between, bridging these two worlds. So we began a workshop, which I think we can go to the next slide now. Yeah, imagination meets impact. So the objective of this was to connect marine conservation, arts, and education in a creativity meets conservation workshop, bringing Hong Kong students closer to the uniqueness of their culture shaped by the sea. How we did that was through field trips and sessions with these specific mentors, which we could run through. Yeah, here. So Jonathan, who some of you may know, he designed the mural that you saw, and I'll get into what the students did with that in a second. Maureen Thomas, of course you know, she led the students on a field trip to understand oyster reef units, the role they play, and all of the kids designed their own oyster reef units. Jody took the kids through a songwriting exercise called Seeing the Future. I think some of you saw a part of that performance, but the great joy for the kids was that they got to write their own lyrics and hear the song produced in a way that's actually still in development. So that, again, the idea was to give them ownership of the process, and Howard and Caesar also were instrumental to this process of giving them ownership through these creative exercises. We'll go to the next slide. Okay, so I'll just leave you with a snapshot or sound snapshot of the song. And while this is playing, it's okay. The lyrics that you see in Cantonese were all written by the students, and that when you hear them singing it, it was performed by the students themselves. Can you make it louder?
Love it.
Yeah. So, and it ends with them saying, "Every other breath comes from the ocean." And I think, is there a snapshot of them in the studio? I think it might be the slide right before it, just so you can see. Oh, the pictures of the kids. Oh, it's not there. Okay, never mind. There was a slide that had scenes from the field trip, from the studio sessions. And I think what's significant for that is they met a quite popular rap artist called Yase May from there, and he had written some starter lyrics. And after they had gone on their field trips and learned about the ocean, they said to him, "Your lyrics are so basic. Can we rewrite them?" And they did, and that's what you hear part of. And at the end of it, when we asked them, how do you feel about this? It's back to what you've all been saying about creating a community of care. We couldn't take them diving, let's just say, for instance, but we got them to understand a little bit more about what role they can play and to actually care, just tapping that emotional chord. And we plan to continue to do so in an exhibit that we're planning, and we hope to talk to you more about that.
Well, I just have an idea I need to voice out. I just react to Maria is that, okay, the songs, and also two slides with the picture with the diver, and with this picture. What if we create an immersive room, which is have this and the songs together, and we create and invite people to come, because I'm a diver. Harry is a diver too. He's 70 years old, and it's a totally different feelings and world in underwater. I think it's
great.
the direct impact to the audience will, with their care will come up.
I'm glad that we can continue to work together after Vampires and Viruses. Yes.
We need to do this immersive room.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Victor. Thank you, Maria.
Sorry about interrupting.
Okay, so we still have some time for our discussions. Having watched all the videos, songs, a sculpture, public artwork, and everything, I hope that can help all of you to expand your imagination, how we can add art, culture, heritage elements into the marine science. And I think you won't object that all our panelists here are very good storytellers, and they may, in their environments, actually, they may face different challenges. So I would like to, ask some questions to each of them, and then feel free to discuss with each other. So first of all, Victor, actually the sea we are facing is physical. It has the smell of seawater, it has a color, and in the digital form, how does it, inspire you, and how did you transform your presentation of sea in a digital format?
Well, I think first of all, you got to feel it first. If you talk to something to a person that you never see it, never feel it, never hear about it, you have no feelings about it. So I think for us is to get into the environment itself. Like when I was small, my father's running shops doing incense. So a lot of boat people come to the shops and buy incense and all these virtual things. You can smell the salt. Yeah, so that is something that when we get to the harbor, we get to the near the waterfront, you will feel the breeze of the oceans and also the smell, and all together you create an experience, and you through your experience tell the story. It's the story about the ocean. You need to bring those essence into your presentation, I think.
Yeah. Okay. You just talk about people, and for Alan's case, you have worked with a lot of artists. How many altogether in your project?
Over 30 groups of collaborators, and then I would say 50 villages at least.
Yes, and so that's interesting part about it. There are villages, there are people who've been there, maybe just not their own generations, but the past generations. So how did you find the interactions between the villages and your artists? Did they bring out something new that they can express in their artworks?
Yes, I think it's very challenging for me as a newcomer to the village, because they got over 100 years of history. So when they first locked the door, it's like, oh, who are you? How old are you? It's like something like that. But I think throughout the at least 6 to 8 intensive communication period, we started to know the history about the over 100 years of history of the villages, and then they start to trust us. I think the trust is very important. Because when you first encounter with them, they will just see you as a stranger. But then after numerous kind of discussion, and then even we got a Zoom meeting, very, very innovative. We got Zoom meeting at night till midnight with the villagers together to understand the history and daily life. And then they start to trust us and share the history or stories with us. Then of course, together with the artists, I think after we got awarded for the project, immediately within 1 month, we stayed there overnight together with the villagers. So there are a lot of intimate kind of moment. They share the interesting story with us in order to develop the artwork direction.
I see. Okay, so I think the beauty of going to these kind of art festival is we can actually enjoy the nature, enjoy the ecology part of the environment. So my next question is for Hester. For building, as big as M+, will ecology sustainability is part of the policies that the institutions cares about?
Yeah, it's one of the crucial challenges of our time. I mean, being a curator means that we're actually looking at social and environmental issues, and It's been already since the 60s and 70s that we've been creating art outside of the realms of the gallery. So I think it will reflect in everything from the travel plans of curators until how we create our exhibition designs and how we think about circularity and reusing certain materials, how we tell the story. I think visual culture is very central at getting, the picture painted, as Victor so eloquently said.
Okay, thanks, Esther. So we understand how hard the curator's work it is. And for Maria, I think you're facing all the audience from all different countries globally. Will you want to say something how for the content you decided and the people you interviewed? What are your criteria of choosing the content for National Geographic?
Sure. Well, those of you who've heard us talk about this before, there's an underlying principle, which is at National Geographic, the belief for all the content is that the more people understand the world, the more they will take care of it. Mm-hmm. And to get to that point of understanding, they use science as the foundation and storytelling as a superpower. Mm-hmm. And that can be realized on both the global and local level. So in the case of this project, we're really excited about, the impressions that we got, which are over 60 million so far and counting. But then on the local level, we're just, I believe, at the starting point of really connecting with the stories that you see just a glimpse of there, right? Really expanding the community of storytellers within this project. And to the point of what Alan was saying about trust, when we are going to be creating the exhibit version of this content, it's very important to involve the local community and to understand, say, for instance, we were talking to Harry about fishermen and, their memories, their livelihood, the role that they've played, or oyster farmers, and building that into the narrative as well, right? And in terms of our responsibility, you might have caught that National Geographic is a part of Disney as well in the slides. And for us, there's very much the business of attention harnessing that we are in the business of. But in terms of harnessing attention, it's really taking on the fact that we're able to inspire affection for everything from the ocean to Elsa, and then also to empower audiences on directing their attention to how they can take action. And in a really straightforward way, when you're in the business of media, that action can be a consumer touch point of purchasing something. But we also have the ability to direct that attention to a different sort of action. It's just our responsibility to identify that together. So we've always talked about skip the straw and how ineffective or effective that is, right? People will do it. How many restaurants don't serve straws anymore, right? They just serve paper straws. But is that it? No. There's more. But you can see that once you communicate something to people, they will adopt it, right? In that kind of K-pop fashion. So we just have to figure that out.
Thank you, Maria. So, so actually coming to the end of our panel discussion today, we would like to talk about the next step forward. And will our guests, each of you, give us some suggestions? Now you understand is the HAM's initiative to, amplify the voices and raise the awareness of the oceans. Conservation and different areas, into our institution. So what would you recommend us to do? It can be projects that you would like to initiate to work with our museum.
I just give one, is to create immersive environment and invite people to come and then let them immerse into this beauty and also what if we lose it? And then probably when they come out, they will kind of do something. So that is my suggestion to create here.
Okay, so we will discuss with Victor more on that, on his idea. And how about Esther?
I guess I'm a historian like Joost. So I'd like to look at, examples from our collection. I have to think of very successful campaigns that were from top down. I'm thinking of, for instance, I don't know whether you remember the 80s commercials, Don't Be a Lapsaptong, like by Arthur Hacker, one of the designers. How can we use visual language in a way that really communicates to people and ever create that awareness, not even that awareness, but that involvedness where people are not, just passive onlookers anymore, but you can really transform them into active participants.
I think I love the song from Maria, National Geographic. I think the young audience is very important. So I'm sure Maritime Museum and XMDC can really create a portal to connect the young audience with the local or international expert or artists. Because recently, we always talk about the hidden gems of countryside hiking trail. We got only 20 minutes, you can go to the countryside from the city center. But how about ocean? We may be very familiar with Victoria Harbour, but not the ocean like the Cyclone Sea, that side, or Lantau Island. They are still mysterious to most of us. So how can we do that? Because for my encounter with the arts festival, I can see ocean got a lot of rich history. Maybe that's related to the history of the village, or even back to million years ago, like the east side of New Territories actually is a volcano site, back to like many, many years ago. So I create a slide, this guy. So if we want to celebrate ocean, can Hong Kong Maritime Museum take the lead to do the first Hong Kong Ocean Arts Festival? Because in the world, yes, we got International Ocean Art Festival happening previously in South Korea, or there's more Ocean Art Festival in the state, but not the big one in Hong Kong. So for this kind of project, maybe we can do something together. Because from my recent preparation for the second year of Arts Festival, I talked to some villages from Hai Island, very far near the Mangi Reservoir. They got, every 2 years, they got a festival called Tin Hao Parade. They use the ocean like along for 5 days continuously. I think this kind of marine knowledge with tradition is very important to tell our young audience how Hong Kong actually was and what's going to be. So there's something, my small suggestion on that.
Okay, so thanks for Alan. Actually, we are going outdoor as well. By year 2024, we will have an Anchor Plaza, which becomes also part of the museum's offering. It's an outdoor areas with we would say like sculpture of the biggest anchor, the anchors from the biggest ship to be located, and then maybe one step forward, whether we will go to work directly on the ocean theme. There's definitely room for us to think about and discuss later. Maria, please.
I agree with Victor, Hester, and Alan. I think you should do exactly what they said. And but also specifically to our project, you could feel free to tap our students as a focus group, for instance, an immediate focus group, because they had a lot to say after their experience on what they'd like to see in the future and what they learned, and how their eyes, were open to so much on something to their everyday experience. So that's one. And then what this island festival, or what you've done here, I'm so excited by it, because I've been to Naoshima in Japan and always loved this idea of an island and arts linkage. And perhaps, well, you said you're going outdoors, but also to just communicate that this exists. And, to me, this also includes what Stan's doing and taking students out, how we could support potentially like building that narrative together of how to connect what exists for experiences for the public.
Thank you, Maria. Okay, thanks again for our panelists here. Coming to the end, I just give a one sentence, wrap up, as the time is really limited. And to wrap up our session today, I will see ourselves, museum as a platform to share. Actually, it's like a marketplace of ideas that we offer space for conversations and discussions, and allowed the encounters, among our audience and the museum. Your interpretations of art and cultures are really important to us, because these voices will determine what will last in the history and pass on to our next generations. So we would love to engage, more varieties of people, more collaborations, more interactions between curators, artists, professionals, no matter from local or overseas, to work with us in the future. So thank you, everyone.